So as this project continues, guess what we've taken delivery of? Some amazing plants, of course. This one here, fabulous. You've seen this. Often referred to as smoke bush. We have a jasmine and we have a yew tree. So the project in this garden continues. Welcome to be in the garden. Welcome to be in nature. In the last video, you saw how I removed a lot of the ivy that was growing up here and taking a lot of the light away from the laurel at the back of the fence. The land at the back is also the customers. There's maybe about a metre or so where the laurel is on the other side, but as you can see, a lot of it has died back because of the encroaching ivy. So in the last video, you saw me taking a lot of that out. What we're doing today, what I'm doing in this video, is continuing with that project. I have not removed all of the ivy because to do so would really render that whole area naked and nobody needs to be totally naked. Well, that's not my plan. What I plan to do is just remove it gradually over the coming weeks, but at the same time we're hoping to encourage the laurel. But in the meantime, as you can see, we've received some plants that have been ordered. Oh, hold on, I've just had my salad. Have I got... It's not too bad. Okay. Okay, right, so what I've got is just taken ownership of the delivery of some plants, and what we have got there then are laurel, which will be planted along the hedge edge. So I've started to pre-dig the holes, but I do need to make them a lot bigger and a lot deeper. So I'm going to just start planting that stuff away there, the laurel, and what we plan to do in doing so is to create another skimmed back hedge. It will not protrude into the garden space. It's going to be well manicured so that it grows really close against the fence. So you won't see, in time, you will not see the wooden fence panels. What we had to create in this garden for this family was security, a boundary between the road and here, which we did with the fences. We are pruning back the ivy at the top to allow the laurel at the top to grow and fill the gaps. But what I'm doing also is planting some more laurel along this hedge so that it will take shoot. Depending how quickly we're able to achieve that, sometime in the future we may go to the front of the gardening area or the other side and actually remove this laurel if indeed it is not able to restore itself. But by then, these ones that are planted on the inside will take height to give them the security they need, and then we can plant whatever we need on the outer side. As on cue, it is starting to drizzle, so I may need to put my beautiful camera away, but in the meantime, have a look at one of their hanging baskets, which is just sat here and will be hanging on the edge of one of the pergolas in due course. But in the meantime, in between times, I need to get these planted out into the holes I have already started digging. So here it goes. Back again, huh? I snuck in. She's checking in on me. She's making sure I'm doing my work. I am, I promise.
No slacking.
When selecting a plant, remember you're in charge. You're the one giving them your money. And so I've selected this particular plant, but I wanted to make sure, because I don't want this to jut out of the fence too much. If you look at it from the side angle, the two stems are side by side, virtually. I'll do it from the back. I hope I'm making sense. The two main trunks are side by side. So it means that they're going to be almost flush against the fence. Obviously, we don't want to put two plants too close to the fence because they're in the area where the rain will not fall, and very close to the fence does make the plant need more watering. I hope that makes sense. So it's a good idea to sort of plant them anyway slightly away from the fence line, because too close to the fence line means that they'll be dry a lot of the time because that area gets very little rain. However, we've had to make a little compromise because I had to select specific ones where the trunks are even rather than having a trunk further out here, because I'm trying to avoid this plant growing outwards into the garden space. I hope by explaining that I've made sense. So with all the trunks, they're sort of in the same direction towards the back of the plant, where in this one, for example, you can see multiple trunks. They are, in essence, most of them facing the same direction towards the back, and the front of the plant is quite empty. So I will prune this back to allow the plants to grow mostly in one direction, linear, straight up, vertically, rather than it being a bush type plant. In other words, if I was with a client who was looking for this to be a statement plant on its own, then I would have looked for one that has just a singular trunk, and I would have allowed it to become a standard. A standard plant means a plant that has just one main trunk and it becomes a standard. You can have trees that are multi-stemmed as well. Of course, as this technically is, it does have multi-stems. If it was for a client who was looking for a hedge or a shrub that was like more bush-like, then I would have intentionally looked for the ones that have more branches moving in lots of different directions. So I hope that makes sense. I'm looking for one that's more in a linear, that will just go vertically up the fence. Okay. Listen to the birds in and amongst the noise of the traffic, unfortunately. So if you've never used one of these tools before, they are used for digging out. Hey, come in, you're on camera. Everyone's checking in on me today. I'm back. I'm a busy person, clearly. Okay, I was describing this tool here, and it's fabulous. We used it previously, actually, when we put the concrete posts in. It's a concrete post digger, I think, for want of a better word. And what it does is it closes and it opens. You can see that it closes and it opens. And what you do is, with all your might, squeeze it together, pull out the soil. It's useful when you want to dig a hole that isn't too wide, because you can make it quite cylindrical, just straight down. Whereas sometimes when you use a shovel, you dig down, let me show you. You dig down, but you can't actually bring the soil up without making the hole a lot bigger. So the post digger allows you to bring soil up vertically. It's also a great workout for the arms. Loosening the roots slightly. popping her in. Let's get some water on it now. Okay. I've got the water on a very low volume, and I'm just going to let that trickle into there for a while. I actually pre-soaked the hole yesterday as well, and I'm going to move on to the next. So for every fence panel, this is 6 foot, 6 feet, and for every panel I'm planting 2 of these plants. You can space them however you wish. For example, if you want to be a bit more patient, or maybe make things a bit more cost effective, it does require you to be a bit more patient. But as you can see, there's one fence panel here for 6 feet, and there is another one here. Let me just move this table out of the way. So you can see the 2 fence panels here. So that's 6 feet from here, you've got 12 feet. I'm planting 2 between every 6 feet. So this one will come into this space here, and then these 2 here. However, you could just plant 1 in the center of each fence and allow those to grow, but it will just take a longer time for the foliage to reach each other, and that's why I'm planting 2 in between every single 6 feet. If somebody wanted, you could plant even up to 3 maybe, and that would likely tend to have a shorter hedge though, because it'll be meeting really very quickly, and then you'd have to start trimming it. So I've got 2 between every 6 feet. Okay, I've got to carry on before the rain really starts. just teasing out the roots just gently. Okay, it's starting to rain quite considerably, so for the sake of my camera and of course myself, I may need to stop filming, but I can't stop the job. I must continue because we have a deadline. Backfill. Start watering planting. That's 2 in already. Now to prepare the third. Just going to pre-soak the whole a little. Though I did some yesterday, I pre-soaked it yesterday. That will just help to soften the soil. Just gently teasing the roots on the side so that they do not continue growing in a circular motion. So I'm just gently teasing the roots so they can start spreading outwards. It's not necessary to use root growing powders or formulas. It's not necessary. You can. I do often use mycorrhizal fungi, and there are others on the market, of course, but it's not a necessity. I'll place that in there. Just make sure I've got it the way I want it to be situated. Yes, of course, I could have made a bigger hole here so that it has a lot more softer soil, but I'm okay with this, and I'm just going to let the sides collapse down back into the plant and then backfill with this soil which was dampened from yesterday, and then just backfill, making sure that there are no big air pockets because the roots need to be in contact with the soil. Okay, it's starting to really drizzle and I'm concerned for my camera, so see, this one's pointing outwards and I absolutely need, let's see, this branch here is actually leaning out of the fence quite considerably, so I'm going to move that around just to make sure that actually the majority of the plant is moving in the direction of the fence. So I'm just going to twist that round slightly. What I might do is tie this one back. What I might do is tie that one back. As you can tell, there is still work to be done. At the end of the last video, the rain had just started really falling a lot, and so I had to sort of bring that day's job to an end because the rain became unbearable even for myself. So I am back at that garden, and what you can see is that, just a reminder, in case you need a reminder, I had been pulling away the ivy, the back there. It has exposed the laurel, but I was also planting some new laurel to create an evergreen hedge. They have all but been planted now, and they will be kept really trim against the fence. They don't look much like now. They don't much look like, what's the word I'm trying to say? They don't look like much right now. Well, in fact, of course they do, but they're not what we expect them to be in terms of a fully grown hedge covering the fence. There is still work to be done here in the garden. The children are going to get to graffiti that den that they have made with some surplus bits of wood. The chairs will be rearranged and everything, but it's just to show that the laurel has been planted in. I'm going to show this to you from another aspect. Everything is just needing to be put in properly into their proper places. For now, they're just sat in positions, but they will be changed around to make the garden really beautiful. It already is beautiful, but just to amplify the beauty of this garden, this table and chairs will actually be the one that will be on the pergola. Speaking of which, I'm going to give you a quick update on how we're getting on with the pergola. There will be some pleached trees on this section as well, and again, really just for screening and some privacy behind here. And when I say pleached, sometimes pleached are also referred to as espalier. So espalier trees or pleached trees are those trees that have their limbs spread out laterally. So this table and chairs will go into under their pergola area. So what I'm going to do now is just show you what the pergola area is looking like now. Okay, so this is the update of what's happening at the pergola. The pergola. This is an update of what's happening in the pergola. I'm not going to disturb because there is a lot of work still to be done. You saw in the last video where the main parts, or the square, it's not a square, it's actually a sort of triangular. The ones at the back are thinner or narrower than the ones at the front. But we had the front piece put on, and since then had these fanning out just to show their position. And doesn't that look amazing? What a spectacular job, a spectacular job to perfection, absolutely to perfection. I'm going to sort of show it to you from above a few stairs. I'm walking backwards, so bear with me please. I do not need to trip and fall. And these were all cut out. You saw this amazing individual cutting out the shapes on the wood here, so it's not just plain looking, we have a unique and individual look. Let me just take this a bit higher so you can see it from above. That's the pergola there. So from the windows above, the house goes up several floors. You'll be able to see the pergola and how it fans outwards. Yeah, that's the top of it. Okay. So at the base here, you've got the weed suppressant membrane that has gone in, and putting in the equivalent of joists, and then the flooring will go from front to back. Okay, so just to give you a quick update on how it's progressing there, and the area here needs all tidying up, but I will leave it there for you for this video for today, and I'll be sure to come back and show you an update again. Thank you so much for watching. Be in the garden, be in nature. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much. Bye.